Hey guys, welcome to today's video where we're going to be analyzing the Chargers-Raiders game and going into the performances from both teams. Before we get started, please drop a like and a sub. It really helps my channel grow. I'd really appreciate it. And with that said, let's dive right into the video and I hope you enjoy. So, starting with the Chargers, Justin Herbert was absolutely fantastic in this one, especially without Keenan Allen and Mike Williams healthy. They were both injured and limited during the game, and they had a big game from Guyton. He had 4 catches for 91 yards, but going back to Herbert, he was fantastic. He was 22 for 32 for 314 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had the game-winning drive in the overtime period. He had the game-winning touchdown, a rushing touchdown. He was really solid, able to get outside the pocket, make throws on the run, threw the deep ball really well, set up that game-winning touchdown with a big 50-something yard completion to Guyton. So overall, he was fantastic. Also, Hunter Henry had a massive game too. 5 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown on 7 targets. He was very good and consistent for Herbert throughout the game. Defensively, they did a pretty good job stopping Josh Jacobs. That was one of my concerns going into the game, especially with the Chargers being a bottom third run defense so far this season. They did a very good job stopping Josh Jacobs. Yes, he did have a touchdown, and he had a 20-yard run too, but at the end of the day, he only rushed for 76 yards on 26 carries. So if you subtract that 20 yards, he's at 55 carries. He's at 55 yards on 25 carries, so you can see that the Chargers did a really good job stopping the run. On the other hand, with the quarterbacks, Marcus Mariota did a good job getting outside the pocket and running, but when it came to stopping Josh Jacobs, they did a good job there. And that's credit to Joey Bosa, who did an awesome job time and time again getting into the backfield and stopping Josh Jacobs in his tracks. Bosa had to leave the game early with a concussion, or a potential concussion rather, but he did a fantastic job getting to Josh Jacobs in the backfield. In terms of the secondary, which has been absolutely peppered all year, Chris Harris had an up-and-down game. He had a flag in the first half of the game that ended up leading to a Raiders touchdown, Josh Jacobs rushing touchdown. But in that second half, he had a big interception that set up the Chargers' ability to win the game. Ended up missing the field goal, but he came back, stopped Marcus Mariota in his tracks when they looked like the Raiders were seriously driving at the end of that fourth quarter. Then, as I said, Marvin Badgley, his 2 misses in today's game was really rough. He has 9 missed field goals this season, which is the most by any kicker in the NFL, and that's something that's really heartbreaking. It's good that the Chargers ended up winning this game. It was their first division win all year, but Badgley missing those 2 kicks with 4 minutes left, and he missed 2 kicks within 4 minutes of the last 4 minutes of the game, so it's good that they were able to recover and come back from that. On the other hand, the Raiders, from the start, they were almost out of it. Derek Carr, with his injury, left groin injury, he was in the red zone, rushed to his right outside the pocket, and he just pulled something in his groin. That's not a good sign, but Marcus Mariota came in, and he looked fantastic for the Raiders. He just gave them life. Throwing the ball, he was 17 for 28, for 226 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. That interception was thrown just behind the hands of his receiver, but probably should have been caught or even just fell to the floor. It was kind of unlucky, that interception, but he was fantastic. But even more, he was great at getting outside the pocket. 9 carries, 88 yards, and a rushing touchdown, and he was phenomenal time and time again, going outside the pocket, getting and picking up yards with his legs, and really showing why he was a first-round pick only a few seasons ago. Remember, he was the 2nd overall pick just a couple seasons ago after Jameis Winston. He went to Tennessee, and he gave life to this Raiders squad. Even though the Raiders didn't end up winning the game, his performance allowed for them to play really well. He also had a massive throw to Darren Waller, and I'll talk about Darren Waller a little bit later. Defensively, Rod Marinelli, new defensive coordinator. Obviously, the Raiders fired their defensive coordinator during the week after giving up 44 points to the Colts. Overall, they stopped the run pretty well compared to previous games. Austin Eckler only had 1 really big rushing attempt. Yes, they gave up a few rushing touchdowns, but those were all inside the 2, inside the 1. But they stopped the run pretty well overall, which was something good. But the problem with this defense was the pass defense. That pass coverage was like butter, and Trayvon Mullen had a very tough game with multiple flags, including the flag that ended up causing a few touchdowns. causing a touchdown, I think, in the third or fourth quarter, and then ended up setting up that big Guyton throw late in overtime. So Trayvon Mullen had a really rough game with the flags, and that pass coverage was just not good. Yes, they were losing 2 of their 4 guys in the secondary in Jonathan Abram and Arnett, the first-round pick, and they were also losing. They also were out 4 defensive starters on that side of the football. So it was impressive what they were able to do stopping the run, stopping Austin Eckler and Josh Kelly, and even Kalen Ballage too. Yes, they gave up a few rushing touchdowns in that regard, but they did a good job stopping the run overall. It was just the pass. I mean, Justin Herbert just cut them like a butter knife. With Darren Waller, too, I wanted to talk about Darren Waller. He had a massive game. I mean, 9 catches, 150 yards, and a touchdown, which was an absolutely perfect throw from Marcus Mariota. He did a fantastic job. He looked like Marcus Mariota's go-to guy, and I'm looking forward, if Marcus Mariota is the starter for the next few weeks with Carr injured, look for Waller to be his favorite target. I mean, he was targeted 12 times throughout the game. Aguilar was targeted 8 times, then nobody else was even targeted more than 3 times after Josh Jacobs. So, I mean, Waller was consistently the guy getting the football and the guy who the football was being thrown to. So Waller's big day is just a sign of more things to come if Carr is still on the sideline next week. At the end of the day, though, I also want to talk about Josh Jacobs, too. How can they get them going? John Gruden prides himself on being able to run the football and run the football consistently to set up his offense. And in the game today, that just wasn't there from the Raiders. I mean, their ability to run the football was just out the window. And other from that touchdown and that 20-yard run early in the game, I mean, he just wasn't there. Yes, he grew into the game in the passing game. I think he had over 100 yards total throughout the entire game, but at the end of the day, I mean, he just wasn't a force in the run game, and he did have a few good catches. I mean, he had 3 catches for 38 yards. He was able to do some work after the catch, but overall, Josh Jacobs was just non-existent throughout this game, and he needs to be able to get the ball and grow back into the game. In regards to the playoffs for this Raiders team, I mean, it's going to be tough for them to get in. I think they've got about a 5% chance now with that loss. And although they do play Miami next week, who's another team in that playoff hunt, I think it's going to need to take a lot for them to get into the playoffs. They're going to need a lot of teams to lose in front of them, and they're going to need to win out, definitely. So at the end of the day, this Raiders team, it's kind of a disappointing loss. I mean, they moved to 7-7 on the year. They looked like they were in a good spot earlier in the season, but for this Chargers team, they moved to 5-9. They're still out of the playoff race, but I mean, this is good news. I mean, this win might have saved Anthony Lynn's job. So at the end of the day, I mean, this was a fun game to watch. It came down to the wire. Good overtime game, and we've been blessed with this game, and then Baltimore and Cleveland on Monday night. So it's been a good week of football, and this game, it was fun to watch. Justin Herbert, definitely the MVP in this game here for the Chargers, really led his team. Game-winning drive. He had another game-winning drive last week. So, I mean, he's showing up, and he looks like the real deal. So for this Chargers team, good news for their young receivers and for Justin Herbert. And for this Raiders team, I mean, it's just more defensive problems as well as, I mean, Derek Carr's injury. That's never a good thing. And that's going to wrap up the video for today. Did you agree with my analysis and my breakdown? Why or why not? Leave your comments in the comment section down below. I love to hear what you guys have to say. Also, if you're new around here, please drop a like and a sub. That really helps my channel grow, and I'd also really appreciate that too. Also, if you're interested in writing for theupdog.com, which is basically a sports article website where anyone under the age of 21 can write on any sports topic that they're interested in, I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. Also, if you're interested in reading some of the articles up there, then I'll also leave a link to that in the description too. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, see ya.